right, everybody, we're back here with the 57. I think it's coming along, it's looking good. You can see we got the engine set up in here. I got the mounts half welded. We'll get the rest when we get the engine out. I had to do a couple of attempts. The first one, I don't know what happened, it got a little crooked in there, but it turned out good though. We got the engine set where we want. It's a little bit more forward, just so we have the option of running HEI down the road if we ever wanted to. This is the, I don't know if we showed this yet. We got the booster master deal. This is out of the 55. This is what we're gonna run in here. So we're gonna do power brakes, power steering. But now we're gonna take it back apart.
You what?
We're gonna pull the engine out, we're gonna finish welding the mounts, and then we're gonna pull the frame out. We're gonna pull the suspension off. I think these bushings were replaced at one point, but it's been sitting so long, they're all dry rotted and cracked. We're gonna run these control arms, these spindles and brakes and everything on here. We're just gonna get them all cleaned up. Put new ball joints in it. Oh, wait, before we get it out, you see the headers? We're gonna have to modify the headers a little bit though, because you can see these look like they're set up to be ran with the original side mounts, because they go underneath it and they're super long, but they hang entirely too low. And because we're gonna lower the front of this thing, you can see that it's still maxed out on the suspension with the engine and tranny in there, and even putting me all my weight on there, it barely comes off of being maxed out, so it's way too high. We're gonna use these springs, we're just gonna give them a good old lop. We're gonna take a coil off of it.
It's gonna be like that meme. Are you on coils or bags? Me on cut coils.
I'm gonna cut coils. The rears are reverse eyelid leaf spring, so it's supposed to bring it down like 2 inches, I think. So we gotta bring the front, we gotta bring it down a lot. So we're gonna bring it down.
We have our 57 suspended in the air here on the jack stands. The master mechanic, yet again, never ceases to amaze me. See, to him, he says this isn't sketchy. This is just another day in ZHP Garage land. But to you watching, you might be like, I'd never do that. Regardless, that's how it's gonna sit here for the next couple weeks. Just like that. I'll let you know if it falls.
This front end was never finished up. You can see that I took the nut off with my fingers, and it doesn't even look like these bearings have been packed. It's kind of another reason why I want to take it all apart and start from scratch. This here I'm not too worried about, because the first couple times you hit the brakes will burn all that surface rust off of there. It's not a big deal. Normally I have the weight of the engine and transmission in here, you know, it's all together, and I can just put the jack on the bottom of the control arm, and then I have enough weight to counteract the spring of flying apart. But this is a bare frame. Wow. And I don't want it to going up and hit my Legos over here, my little erector set, and have Jenga or something going on here. So I'm gonna use the spring compressor. There's a couple different ones. There's a shorty and then a longer, depending on what you got going on.
These look like stick figures.
Yeah, they're my little, hey guys. I was gonna use the short one. This is one I'd probably you would use to put it in just because you need to get it down, but all I'm trying to do is take a lot of the tension off of it. So this guy here, so it goes up. It's kind of a pain in the butt to put in. It's easier to put it in here and take out in there because there's not enough room to snake it in. So you got to go up through the shock hole. Normally if it's already in, you can just, you know, knock it out and it falls out. But this way it's kind of a pain. That's why I don't like to do it this way. And we'll get the bottom one in here. And then these don't look like they've been together for very long. So I'm going to anticipate it coming right apart. But at least now I don't have the full tension on the spring to go crazy with me here, because it probably still has a little bit of tension on it. So it worked out pretty good. See, it kept the spring from just totally doing it. See, saved my life. Could have been killed or even worse.
Nice.
You see that whoever put this thing together didn't exactly use the right hardware. They used the grade 5 hardware, which isn't the best idea to use on a front end, so we're not going to use these bolts. They did the same on the lower control arm also. It's all a cheaper quality hardware.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
We got the passenger side all stripped down. We got the bump stop out of here. We got a little piece of rubber we got to dig out of there. Can't have anything rubber when you powder coat because obviously they burn it on. No rubber in there, it'll all melt, make a mess out of your stuff.
No, not again.
Don't worry, they're not coming for me. They don't use the sirens. The bump stop on the bottom is normally on the control arm, so don't have to worry about that. The upper one's on the frame. Look like we're all stripped. So give me about 12 seconds. I'm gonna take that side apart.
12 seconds later.
There it is, you have it all up. Oh, There it is. There it is. We have
Good job.
got it all apart. So now I'm gonna go grab my die grinder and I'm gonna cut these springs. So we're gonna get these powder coated. So I'm gonna do a full coil. So this would just be cutting off the dead top coil. And I wanna do a full coil. So in theory, you should lower the front like 2, almost to 3 inches probably in the front. Still have plenty of spring. This is a tall spring that they had in here. So I don't think it's gonna affect anything. Well, a lot of noise later. Got the frame all ready. Get loaded up. We're gonna go drop it off, get it powder coated. I think this thing's gonna turn out a trick. There's 2 different style frames on these things. They have one that looks like it's 2 pieces put together, so have a seam on a weld, and then they have this one, which is smooth. So this thing, I think after blasting and powder coat, it's gonna look like. See, I added, I was a little worried about the engine mounts, so I added this little gussets here underneath, give it a little support, and just tapping on, just beating on it with your hand, you can tell it's stiffer. It's got some more reverb to it. Got the little one-off crossmember mounts there. And like we said, we're using the Camaro Nova crossmember. Got all the old fuel line, brake lines off. When we get it back, we're gonna run all new lines. Got a little challenge going here. The camera guy said my Jenga here is not gonna make it until the frame gets back.
So I don't think we ever showed us loading up the 67 C10 frame before, but basically, this is all we got to load it. Both of us pick it up. So since you guys haven't seen us load a frame before,
Did you give it surgery or loading the frame?
Dude, I almost had you.
You almost had me. You never had me. You never had your
Frame.
Ah, nothing.
all right, this is way lighter than the C10. That is the lightest frame we've ever moved.
That, you're just getting stronger.
While the frame was off to powder coat and we were waiting for it to finish, we loaded down our square body dually with 3 transmissions in the bed, one of them being the Turbo 400 for the 57, and we took them over to the sponsor of this video, Hughes Performance. Hughes Performance is a 3-generation family-owned company that has been around for longer than the Master Mechanic and I, since 1971. They specialize in transmission and converter builds, and with over 50 years under their belts, they have a very streamlined assembly process for all torque converters and transmissions that are built. With a large backstock and a vast array of different parts, you can have confidence that they'll be able to build anything that you would want. So head on over to hughesperformance.com, link down in the description below, check them out, and get out your cellular communicator right here. Go boop beep boop whoop bop beep boop bop, ring ring, and you ask for Cameron and tell him ZHP Garage sent you.
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been
Cameron's not
set up
answering.
yet.
Maybe it's because I'm trying to call him at 9 o'clock at night. He's off work. He'll answer when you call. Thank you again for Hughes Performance for sponsoring this video. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. There you have it. Frame's back from powder coating and it is now all the way fully installed into the 57. It's definitely a world of a difference powder coating it. This is the first frame that we've actually powder coated. All the ones previous we have sandblasted and painted, but we've never actually pulled the frame out to get it powder coated. It's definitely nice taking it to the powder coater, having them deal with all the sandblasting and all the mess and everything, and ease of use is definitely very nice with powder coating. So we have our new body mount bushings and our new grade 8 hardware, and let me tell you, those bolts on the body mounts are very small compared to Impalas and even Camaros. They're very small. It's a 3/8 bolt. So this is our little setup right here. Depending on how each body mount was configured, some of them used a bolt and others used a nut because some of them had capture nuts. In total on Tri-5s, there are 14 body mounts, quite a bit. I think compared to Impalas are like 6. on a 62 Impala. I think it's like 6 or 8. So aside from the frame being nice and cherry and new, we got the pedal bolted on here as well. And that little block off plate right here is bolted on. And yeah, now we can move forward with everything. The brake lines, we can get the engine set in here. The fuel tank is at powder coating, which I'll show you right here how it looks. Not very exciting. So that's why we're taking it to get powder coated. Gonna get it powder coated silver to contrast off of the black and the nice rusty rust of the trunk back there. As you can see, that is definitely why we are replacing the wheel well. I mean, obviously that part came with the car. Now with the frame in the car, we got the jack stands moved to the frame, so now it's not all sketchy. Master Mechanic says it's not sketchy, but that is kind of sketchy. But it did make it. It never fell. It did kind of move, and the blocks of wood went like this a few times, and I was like, okay. So yeah, now it's very sturdy. Now we can do the metal work. We can replace that wheel well. So this kind of gives you guys an idea why our videos take so long. I see some of the comments, oh, what's going on? Why are you guys taking so long? Why haven't we seen this car in so long? And I understand you guys want to see videos. We want to see videos too. Over and above everybody, we want to see the videos be put out, right? But as you can see, we're not even halfway through this video, and it's already been like a month.
Up, get the stuff out of here. All right, well, we made it back from our journeys to used performance. So the reason why we needed this rebuilt is originally we were gonna use the Turbo 400 out of the dually, but then a person needed the tranny, same tranny for his motorhome. So I wound up selling.
Just person?
A friend needed the transmission out of the dually for his motorhome. So I sold that tranny. This is the core, or was the core out of the motorhome. That's why we needed to get it rebuilt. So I started out the whole process. I sent the converter into used performance to get rebuilt. And then after getting it finished up, they sent it back, and then, hey, they called me up, like, hey, what are you doing with a tranny, man? You need a tranny to go with this thing. They rebuilt the transmission. So this is pretty much just a stock Turbo 400. Nothing crazy. We got a new rebuilt converter, new transmission. So we're gonna put the converter in it. We got new hardware here. I shortened up my dipstick. This is the actual dipstick out of the dually, which was like way over here somewhere. Like I trimmed it back. So now it, in theory, hopefully if everything goes right, it sits right behind the cylinder head. So it's tucked away. It's really, really nice. So we're gonna stab the converter here. I already put some tranny fluid in here, so I gotta make sure it's not gonna pee out. I didn't put too much in there. That's all we got. So now we gotta get the cherry picker. Cherry picker's outside. I don't know who planned this one out.
Well, let me know where else you want to put it. You want to put it in the bed of the truck over there like you put everything else?
The bed of the truck is running out of space. That's why we need to put the transmission and engine in the car. One of these fine automobiles needs to be put together. You just stand there, hold on. Get the cherry picker. We got it on the cherry picker. We're trying to get more room. We got the stand out of the way. So before we put the engine in it, I wanted to run the brake line that's gonna go underneath the engine for the passenger side, and I ran the fuel line. I could probably get it done. It just makes it easier with the tranny and everything out of the way to drill a hole and everything. Still have to run the brake line over here, but I think it'll be okay. So we got it all set up. We got our steering going on. We're all prepped.
What do you think of the frame?
The frame's trick. Turned out really nice. I think it's a really good idea that we finished it off and got it powder coated. It was really cool that, I don't know if you remember, that it had these holes right here, and it's just nice that I welded it, and it's just really smooth. I think it just turned out really nice. And then with the inner fenders in here, you're gonna see this part of it, and it's just gonna look really clean. It's definitely gonna be a super clean four-door cruiser. Let's get this thing lowered down here. Bolt it up to the tranny. Give it a little check by hand. I like it. I ain't going nowhere. Here we go. We're installing it. Got our used performance Turbo 400. And the Turbo 400 has the factory deep pan on it. Our used performance 13-inch stock 400 converter. Our nice 350 small block. I think it's a standard bore. It looked like it might have been rebuilt. It might be 30 over or something, but it looked pretty good. I changed the timing chain to a double roller. The single roller nylon was worn. Did a ARP drive rod. Other than that, the way we got it. Our Demon 3-barrel carburetor, phenolic spacer. Looks like some hot rod and valve covers. Old 32 coupe or something. Got a short water pump drive, power steering, gear reduction starter. Going into our nice powder coated frame off 57 4-door, but it's the same frame as a 2-door. So, if somebody was ambitious and needed a complete parts car, frame suspension is already golden. That's the theory behind it. The engine and tranny is pretty much in here loosely, but I got a little bit of wiggle to it. So I'm gonna put the cross member. This is the Camaro Nova cross member we got powder coated. I'm gonna get this in there. I'm gonna get all the weight sitting in the car on the, on the mounts, and then I'm gonna measure it and make sure that it's nice and squared up. Engine straight in there, and we'll get it all tightened down. Then the engine and tranny will be in it. It'll be all done. There you have it, man. It's installed. We got it all squared up, tightened up. It's in there. That's a new home for it. Man, I'm blown away. It looks amazing. I think it turns out, man, it's like it's made for it. Kind of was. You can see the nice stainless fuel line, brake line, the way it's, all these mounts are all tapped into the frame, so it bolts to the frame, so they're all held nice and tight and clean. I like it. All the grade 8 bolts all tied together. Things really coming together. Really nice. It'll be a nice cruising 4-door. So this fuel pump I got was for a later model deal, and the inlet was on the bottom, so I got to change the fuel pump because I don't have enough room. I have to have the inlet outlet come out the side of the diaphragm. And you can see in this video, it might give you a little glimpse of why the videos take so long. Some of them take longer to come out. I mean, we pulled this frame out, finished modifying it, had to wait to get it powder coated, put it back in, and then put the engine and tranny in it. And we had to wait for the tranny to get done. So just a little glimpse of why some of the stuff takes a little longer than others. A lot of work involved in doing this for sure, but it turns out it's worth every bit of it. I do want to address though the whole converting it to a 2-door. I think it's stupid.
Say it louder.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
I mean, that's cool if you want to do it, but in my opinion, that's a smoke and mirror. This thing's titled as a 4-door, so if you convert it, then you got a mixed match title. Dude, go get a 2-door if you want a 2-door. We're gonna leave this thing as a 4-door. We're not converting it. That's great that the quarter panels and the roof line or whatever is the same. This thing's staying a 4-door. The only thing that this might be is a parts car to a 2-door. But we're not converting it. So now that the engine and tranny is in this thing, it's the easiest way to do it with the front end off of it, and it's already a pain to do it that way. A little glimpse here. We got the whole front end all powder coated. There's a core support, and you can see that we did move it forward. I mean, these mounts initially, we're supposed to bring it forward 3/4 of an inch. We put it, I don't even know where we put it, how many forward of whatever. We put it wherever it is, but it's definitely forward from stock. Oh, I got this backwards right now, hold on, we got it. No wonder it's not fitting right. So you can see if this was a V8 core support, the only difference is the mounts are on the inside. And you can see that's definitely forward. We don't have enough room to get a radiator in here, with the fan and everything. So it's definitely moved up a little bit, which is nice because we can add the HEI if we wanted to down the road if this thing gives us trouble. The dipstick turned out nice too. It's tucked right behind the valve cover, put away. You don't check your training fluid all the time, so once that's done, you don't need to see it. You don't need to see it all the time, so that's good. And then the dipstick, I need to finish putting that in once I deal with the headers. It's just sitting in there. It's gonna go down a little bit more. It's a little tight because of the booster. Man, I'm excited to get this front end on this thing. I just continue to see it come together. I bet you can't guess what kind of radiator we're gonna put in this bad boy. See, I wonder how many people get that right. Like, share, subscribe. Come on back for the next one. We'll be here working on this fine jewel.